Hello everyone, welcome to Managing Leave Requests with Nintex Workflow for SharePoint. This is a co-branded webinar with both Nintex and Orangutech designed specifically for the federal government. We'll kick things off with brief Orangutech introductions, then we'll pass everything over to Nintex for them to do their introduction, and then we'll get straight into a demo so that everybody can see how easy it is to manage leave requests leveraging Nintex. So my name is Brett Ryan. I'm Vice President of Business Development here at Orangutech. I also have on the slides Darren DeSaulnier, Business Development Representative. Then we have Ross and Sean from Nintex, and you'll be hearing from them shortly. A little bit of a company background on Orangutech. We've been in business since 2003, so just over 12 years now. We've been a Microsoft Certified Gold Partner for 10 of those years. We're headquartered in the National Capital Region, which is perfect for federal government. In both 2015 and 2014, we were rated Profit 500's fastest 500 growing companies. And over the years, we've won several awards. One of the ones that I'd really like to just highlight is in 2011, we were voted as Worldwide Health Partner of the Year. That's a global award that's awarded to one organization out of 2,000 or 3,000 systems integrators worldwide. So that was pretty big for a small company like Orangutech to get on the map. A little bit of an overview of the product and service portfolio that Orangutech offers as it is particular to the federal government here. SharePoint migrations, we're currently working with Shared Services and Agriculture Canada, who's running a Tiger Team project right now for 23 different government departments to migrate existing SharePoint applications into Shared Services environment, leveraging both SharePoint and GC Docs. So we're on the architecture team for that right now, and that team meets on a regular basis every week and tries to drive things forward to the point that it's ready to get to shared services. They're trying to build the beta out for what that application should look like. Content management systems, we've done several of those in the federal government. Workflows, which is why we're here today. We leverage Nintex for all of our workflow development. And you'll be able to hear more about the product and how easy it is for you to procure that product. Records management systems, we've done several of those for the federal government. I've been involved in many of them. PMPRB is one, ESDC is another one, and we continue to strive to help government organizations work on their records management strategies. In 2015, we started working with Microsoft Dynamics CRM. This was a strategic move for us with the federal government's involvement with Dynamics CRM. This is really the next big play for the feds, so that's why we wanted to get involved with it, and we have several resources internally that are able to support any CRM needs that you have. As I mentioned before, our business really is government, so this is just a snippet of some of the organizations that we've supported over the years. There's several more, but there's not enough room for them here on this page. We're working, or we have worked with over 15 departments, and every day we're sort of brought in to advise in different ways, especially with this involvement with the Tiger Team for Shared Services at PWGSC. So why is everybody here from the purchasing perspective? So the SLSA, or the SLSA, is a procurement vehicle that was launched by PWGSC in 2013, and it was really designed to make things much easier for organizations to go out and procure software that's over $25,000. This is a way that PWGSC pre-vets software that's able to be procured. It dramatically reduces the amount of time that it takes to be able to procure software because a formal RFP doesn't need to be created. There is a technical justification that would need to be made, but in comparison to launching a full-fledged RFP, it's dramatically reduced. And especially if you're thinking about trying to spend money by March 31st, this is a perfect tool to be able to actually put that plan into action. So one of the things I will warn you about is that any services that would be supplementary to Nintex as a software would have to go through a different vehicle, so either TBIPs or SBIPs. This is for software only, so this is just for the procurement. There's other hardware vehicles that are out there that are run very similar to this. PWGSC does provide training for procurement off of the SLSA, and Darren will be sending a link to that training out after this webinar. So now I hand it over to Nintex.
Awesome, thank you, Brett. So this is Ross Zabrowski. I'm the territory manager with Nintex for the Canadian region. And also on the line, we've got Sean Feeney, and he is the technical evangelist also for Canada. And Sean will actually be doing the demo. But before we jump into that, I just kind of want to make sure that I articulate sort of all the components that go into the Nintex platform, as well as some of the company history as well. So as far as the components that go into the Nintex products, you have the Nintex Workflow tool, which is kind of our staple product that has been around for quite some time now. And what this product allows you to do is to design and activate workflows very quickly and easily, so you can create powerful logic. It has reporting and management capabilities, and it really allows you the ability to automate processes from simple to complex, and the people automating these processes can potentially be business users, automating a smaller process, maybe something like the leave request that we're going to take a look at in a moment. But it also, is very powerful in the hands of somebody with a little bit more technical acumen, like a developer. So the Nintex Forms tool is a potential replacement for InfoPath. Well, really the Nintex platform itself is, and it allows you to create, publish, and deploy forms anywhere. So these forms are very easy to create. You'll see this in the demo in a moment, but it will automatically interpret the metadata associated with the list or library and present you with a default form from which you can customize and add a lot of dynamic functionality to. The Nintex mobile piece, it comes with the Nintex platform, Nintex Forms. It allows you to extend your Nintex Forms to any device. So you can go grab the Nintex mobile app from any of your, an iPhone or Windows phone app store, or, iPad, and actually use your SharePoint login credentials to access Nintex Forms on the go. So one of the particularly popular features with the mobile app as well is that it has offline capabilities, so you can actually access and submit forms without internet connectivity. The last piece of Nintex is Nintex Live, and our philosophy is that, yes, we do leverage all the infrastructure with SharePoint, but we want to give you the ability to connect to the line of business applications and web services that you're already using. So just a little bit of background about Nintex itself. So we have been a Microsoft Gold ISV since 1999, and we've been developing SharePoint products since 2003. So we have 4 iterations of our workflow tool for SharePoint on-premise, and the 5th iteration of workflow is for Office 365. Soon we'll have our 6th, which will be for SharePoint 2016. All updates, bug fixes, all that kind of stuff gets rolled out to all previous versions as well. So we have been identified several years in a row as by Forrester as the most widely adopted SharePoint add-on product, and so that's for all add-ons, not just workflow or forms tools. And we have over 6,000 customers in 90 different countries, and which totals millions of licensed users worldwide. So lastly, I just want to leave you with a couple points about Nintex. This is our key value proposition to anybody who uses Nintex or is evaluating it for a potential implementation. So what we really allow you to do is get the most out of your existing SharePoint investment. You get more production from the people that you have currently, and you get more adoption for your SharePoint apps because you're giving it a user experience that is more conducive of the way people work in the modern era. It also allows you to decentralize the IT department a little bit too, because you're empowering business users to be able to automate their own requests, which frees up your time for maybe some more technical projects that need your attention. And lastly, I mentioned this already, but it allows you to connect with the software and line of business apps that you already have in place. Right before we jump into the demo too, just to reiterate there, with the Nintex products, all you need is the Nintex software licensing. So if you already have SharePoint, there's nothing else that you need. You don't necessarily need, there's no additional software that you need to implement. There's no hardware. It doesn't require its own server. We utilize the workflow engine that's already in SharePoint. It allows you to stay away from heavy custom code, so you're able to develop things out quickly, but also make changes as the business process demands. So that is kind of a little bit of background on Nintex. I think we're going to hand it over to Sean now to give you a little product demonstration. If you don't mind.
Awesome. Thank you, Ross. Appreciate that. So, I should start streaming pretty soon. Let me know when you can see my screen.
Yep, I can see it.
Perfect. Excellent. All right. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Ross. Thanks, Brett. So right now we're looking at a 2013 SharePoint environment. And we've got a bunch of different business scenarios built out in here, because that's a great thing about Nintex Workflow. It's a platform. You can build whatever business process you have into Nintex and automate that business process. We just happen to have a couple of ones already churned up in our demo environments, right? So one that we want to concentrate here is going to be a leave request. So we'll go over to our leave request list, and you can see that I can add a new item over here, and we'll populate an item within our shared leave calendar as well too. So let's go through the general end user experience so you can see what it's like to use Nintex Workflow as an end user and how it can automate some processes. So let's go and add a new item here for leave request. Okay, so Sean wants some time off. All right, cool. And we're going to do annual leave, and I'm going to be crazy, and I'm going to take the 25th all the way to the 29th off, right? And I'll just hit save. And one of the great things about Nintex Workflow is you can have this start off on new item creation, right? You can have that workflow triggered when you kick off an item when you start in the list, right? And so for the sake of this, I just want to show there's additional ways too. There's a manual start that you can do, or you can do item modification. We're just going to do a manual start in this workflow. And there's a reason behind that, right, for this demo. Excuse me. That's because by doing that, you get a really quick look at what the workflow is, right? This is a graphical view of what your workflow is going to do. You can see it's going to get user info, it's going to edit a title, send a notification out, and it's these couple of actions over here where it says get leave balance and business days calculations. We'll talk about that in a second. And then here we go to one of the most popular things. You got to ask a manager, right? You got a task, so you got to get something approved or rejected. And then from there, depending on the outcome, we can either send a notification that's been rejected or it's been approved, so we add that to our shared calendar. We add that time off to the shared leave calendar. We update a leave balance, and we send out a notification. All right, that's cool. Let's start this guy off. So I'll click off start on here, and you'll see that it's working on it, right? And you see that even though it says it's working on it, we just got a notification, and what that means is that Nintex Workflow can integrate with Link as well too, right? So you can send a notification either via email or Link and notify that end user, and in this instance we want to notify the initiator of the workflow. So I was just notified that my leave request was received. So let's jump over to the role of the approver. Say you're the manager of this person, and you can see I just jumped over there through the power of technology to another server where we got an email that says a response is required. So we'll jump over into Brett, who is the manager's inbox, and take a look and see, okay, cool, we've got this task assigned to us, and what's great about this is it actually has some of that metadata in there in that item that we created, right? So this email, this task notification, collects that data from that new item, so we get a real quick at-a-glance view of what's happening here. right? We can see the time that I've requested off. We can see that I've requested for a total of 40 business hours, and also I know that I have a balance of 80 hours, so what I'm asking off for, I have enough hours to get it, right? So as a manager, you don't have to go and check an ERP system or log into a different system to go and see what's there. Nintex is able to connect with multiple systems and pull that data and present it back to you in a way that, fits your business process. Here it's in an email notification. So we can go the standard route of clicking in the email and bring up the task notification and go ahead and start editing some information in there as well too, right? So I'll click here. What's going to happen is we're going to get a task form that you're probably accustomed to using in SharePoint, but this time it's using Nintex Forms, right? And so this is a quick glance at it. You can see we've got approve, reject, comments. Then we have some list item properties. So you can see, even though this is a task item, we can see the list items information, right? Any details that were included there. Now there's where it gets really cool. I can see workflow status, right? And in workflow status, I can see where is this workflow actually at, right? Remember that graphical view of the workflow before? Now I can see where it is. All these green operations show that they've succeeded in their execution, and now we're at this yellow one called Ask Manager. Well, I'm the manager. Of course, it's waiting over there. We need some human interaction to either approve or reject. All right, cool. So I can just go ahead and click reject or approve and then click OK and have the form go forward. But you know what? This is 2016. Let me show you something even cooler than that, right? On this email, on the bottom, is this line that says lazy approval enabled, reply with a valid outcome on a line by itself, the top of the return email. All right, great. What does that mean? That means I can actually reply directly to this automated email that was sent out with either a positive or negative response, so yes, no, approve, reject, right? And it will then parse that email out, take the value, and proceed the workflow in the right direction. So let's reply. Let's make this happen. I'm going to type approve, right? Let's past tense it, hit approve, and I'm going to click send. All right, great. So we've sent out that email. Now I'll go back to the initiator's environment, and you'll see where this workflow is at, right? So I click on the actual list itself, and you can see the item up top, and in here you see we have a new column, leave approval by manager. That's the name of that workflow, and it shows that it's in progress, right? If we wanted to go take a look at where that workflow is ourselves, we saw that graphic representation with the greens and the yellows and all the color statuses of all the actions. Well, if I'm the initiator, how can I see that? I'll just go and click on View Workflow History. And the only running workflow we have on this item is that Leave Approval by Manager, right? So I'll click on that guy, and that's going to bring me in here. And right now we're just waiting for Exchange to go and parse that information through lazy approval and proceed this workflow out. But you can see exactly where we are in this workflow as well too, right? So according to here, we're waiting for that manager's approval. It's been sent, and now we know it's definitely been sent because we just got another notification that our leave request has been approved, right? And it's even better because if I refresh this page real fast, you will see that we've progressed through the task, we've added the item to the calendar, updated leave balance, and sent over a notification, which you can see right over here, right? All right, great. So what I'll do is I'll go back to our HR section, and you'll notice that here's my updated item in the leave request calendar, and the workflow itself has been completed. If we jump over to the leave request list, everything is great, everybody's been notified, and we've tracked that approval as well too, right? Pretty simple stuff. It's really easy in the end user interaction. But what does this workflow actually look like? Well, we sit on top of SharePoint, right? It's not a proprietary workflow engine. It integrates with SharePoint. We're actually using the legacy workflow engine in here as well too. So it's very easy to interact with. If we click on the list tab, hit drop down on workflow settings, you're going to see create a workflow in Nintex Workflow and manage workflows in Nintex Workflow. We're going to click on manage workflows in Nintex Workflow, and you can see the leave approval by manager workflow. Right, and this is actually how you work with workflows. It's that same graphic interface that you saw before, right? If I want to add a send notification in here, all I have to do is go over to the workflow actions pane on the left, drag and drop, and I can add new actions within my workflow itself. Maybe I don't want this as the first action. Maybe I want it as the second action. All I have to do is drag and drop again. Very, very simple to configure. All I have to do is double click on send notification, and that's going to open up the configuration settings for the action itself, and here's where I can input parameters, right? Remember how it showed that you can actually go and grab the item properties, the metadata associated with the item. All that is clicking into the field you want information in, click insert reference, and from there, you'll see that you can get item properties, you can get workflow constants, inline functions, any variables you may have created, some common information such as current item, current date, current time, current username, right? You can collect all this information and make that a part of your workflow, the data that's working within your workflow, and send that off as notifications as well to your end users. So you're seeing the power even just of a send notification action, right? Well, that's great that it says send notification, but maybe I want to be a little bit more granular in what the role is of this action. All I have to do is click in the title, and I can put in whatever information into here. All right. For any developers out there, hello world, right? Pretty cool stuff. So I'll just go and delete that guy. It's just that simple to go and start making edits within your workflow as well, too. So what's even better is the extensibility of Nintex Workflow as well too, right? And for that we use Nintex Live and the catalog. And so if I go up top and click on catalog, you're going to see how you can extend out Nintex Workflow to work with CRM or Salesforce and any of these other actions. So if I wanted to go and include Microsoft CRM, just click on the online gallery, find the actions that I want, or just the action, doesn't really matter, click on add, click OK, and what will happen is it will update the actions, and in the left-hand side in the Workflow Actions pane, I will now have that action available to me. What's really awesome about that is now you're reaching out to these external systems like Dynamics CRM, right? And now you're able to go and add actions like that and automate those processes within your workflow. If you've got DocuSign, if you've got Salesforce, if you've got Twitter, if you've got Yammer, any of these different types of external services, you can incorporate within your Nintex workflow as well too. Makes lots and lots of processes very easy to use, very easy to configure, and very easy to deploy within your environment as well too. So at a very high level, that is the Workflow Designer. It's drag and drop. Get the actions you want. If you need to extend out to additional services, feel free to grab whatever from the live catalog or grab it out from Workflow Actions pane and drag and drop over into your environment. So one request we get a lot from end users is the ability to look at statistics and what's actually occurring with their workflows, right? We want to be able to capture that data. So if we jump over to reports, you can see you get a very holistic presentation of what's going on within your environment, right? We've got a number of reports that you can build out. So approver performance, and mind you, this is a demo environment, so we don't have a chock full of data, but you can see approver performance, completed workflows, overdue workflows, errored workflows, and so forth. These are web parts. Feel free to build out your own dash if you really want, right? So you can have a dashboard that's got all these different reports for you in your environment, right? So you can get a good heads-up view of how Nintex and the workflows that you've built in your environment are performing. Lots of information to gather, good way to identify bottlenecks, right? So you can see, completed on time, in progress, overdue, and how your employees are actually working with all of the workflows or tasks that have been assigned to them. Lots of good content in that, right? All right, cool. So let's jump back and take a look at Nintex Forms real fast. As you remember, at first, leave requests, new item creation dealt with an out-of-the-box SharePoint form. Well, let's go jump into Nintex Forms and show you how easy it is to go and build that, right? Just for a refresher, if I click on new item, this is what you see, right? Pretty vanilla, pretty bland. Shows you what's required. Doesn't really give you much option because those are required and you have no say about that, right? As an end user. Well, let's go into Nintex Forms. Once again, Nintex Forms, it's on top of SharePoint. There's no proprietary hardware you need to use this, no proprietary server. It's just a software that gets installed on top of it. So we'll click on Nintex Forms. What will happen is Nintex Forms will bring up the Forms Designer for you. Builds out controls, depending on how you built out your list. So you can see we've got the same columns, controls associated with them, such as start date, end date, leave type, title, description, and on behalf of. But what's even better is that we've got a lot more going on too on the left-hand side. You've got additional actions, or I'm sorry, controls over here, such as geolocation, calculated value, repeating sections. Really powerful if you want to bring in SQL or web requests into your form, so you can actually access back-end data in a SQL database, show that at runtime on your form, and allow users to view information and dynamically select information from SQL backend or web request and have it pull and show that data on the form for your end user. For example, if I need to order something in inventory and I have all my information stored in a SQL backend, I can then show off that data, such as far as, what's the on-hand count of that product against what I'm actually ordering, so you have enough. Think of that email that we showed before with request for leave time off and what's available balance. But imagine showing that on the form beforehand. Let's save that end user from even having to take a guess at how much leave time they have, because we'll show them that data when they even go to open up their leave request form. And to be honest with you, we even do that in Nintex, right? So we dog food our own products. We love it. It's great. So there's a lot of possibilities that you can use with SQL and web requests, right? So from here, you can just make it very, very easy and like the form the way it is. If you want to publish it, all you have to do is hit publish up here, and then it will bring up your layouts and just hit publish once, and there you go. You just now made an Nintex form. But there's more to it than that, right? Let's make this a little bit more complex. For instance, I can have leave type, right? And choose a different value depending on that, and the form will behave differently depending on what value I've selected from leave type, and how that's controlled is through rules, right? So let's take a quick look at that. I'm going to go and add a rule to description that says, okay, if leave type is leave without pay, description has to have some sort of value in it, right? We need some further information at that point. So I clicked on add rule. On the right hand side goes a rules description pane, and I'll choose validation over here. I can give it a name. So leave without pay description, right? Cool. And let's add the actual rule. And now you can see how powerful this really, really is, right? This goes way above and beyond just required columns information from SharePoint. So I can say, I want to take, at runtime, the output from this control. So leave type, right? If that equals leave without pay, and remember, you can make this conditional, so you can add multiple conditions within here, right? So it doesn't just have to be one thing. If leave without pay is the value for leave type, and description equals blank, it's now invalid, right? So the total outcome of this has to be true for it to be invalid, which means leave without pay for leave type and description's blank. So please enter a description is the message we want to show if it's invalid. Let's actually make this guy work, right? Now, normally you could publish the form, but then end users who try to go in there and use it are going to, maybe interact with a form that's not fully completed yet, or one that you haven't vetted out and tested and ensure that everything operates the same way. But you don't have to worry about that with Nintex Forms. Go ahead and preview that form, right? So from here, I just click on preview on the ribbon, and I'm able to go generate a preview. I can choose the layout I want. I can choose the platform, and I can even choose if I want how this form shows in new, edit, or display mode. From there, just click on generate preview, and you'll see it come up, right? And I'll show you how cool this is. So I'll just enter some blanket information on here just to show you the operation. And I will change leave type to leave without pay, but I'll leave description blank. Now remember, this shouldn't work, right? And it doesn't. It doesn't allow me to save it. Up top, you'll see, please enter description. You've got this red perimeter now for the description where you know that this is the invalid control. I can go ahead and enter some info in here, click save, right, and everything will move through. So now you know how the form operates even on preview mode. So there's a lot of dynamic forms you can build out. You don't have to rely just on SharePoint out of the box features and functionalities. You can take advantage of a lot more extensibility within Nintex Forms. You can add your own custom JavaScript, your own custom CSS. You can brand it out for your environment. There's a lot you can do. on top of that, you can build device-specific forms, and Ross spoke of this when he talked of the Nintex mobile application as well too. Maybe I want to take this form, and users who have Nintex Mobile installed on their devices, all you have to do is just grant them access by creating a mobile layout of that form, right? So I just clicked on that button within the Layouts section for Nintex Mobile Form. Here's my layout in here, right? Pretty cool stuff. Hit Publish just once, right? And it publishes out the layouts for both desktop and Nintex Mobile Phone. Hit Publish again, and now end users that have permissions to that list can access that leave request form on their mobile device, right? Really powerful stuff. Now you've got device-targeted forms out there, and you really open up how end users can interact with SharePoint and interact with workflows. Now, if I had that workflow set to start on new item creation, that's even better. That means that out in the field, I can go and enter in all that data, press submit, it goes out, creates a new item in my SharePoint environment, and then kicks off that workflow, right? So you really are bringing a lot more to the table for your end users, for your employees, and it's just that simple as I showed. It's very, very easy because it does sit on top of SharePoint, and it's something that everybody's pretty accustomed to in their environment. So usually get a lot of adoption with these easy actions such as leave requests, right? And even though it's pretty simple, it's extremely powerful, and a lot of people are going to use it. So I'm going to pass it back to Brett, and we'll move over.
Thanks, Sean. Appreciate that. This is Darren. So I want to thank everybody for coming. That's the webinar for today. Just wanted to point out as well that even though this was a demo on request for leave, that just scratches the surface of what Nintex can do. There's so much more possibilities and things you can do with it. So we know that you have your own system that you use for leave most of the time, but like I said, there's a lot you can do with Nintex above and beyond all that. So thanks again for coming. I appreciate you joining this webinar. If there are any questions, you can, there's my contact info for Darren and Sonia. You can send me an email or give me a call. There's your SLSA number as well for the Nintex for purchasing. And if you, like I said, if you have any questions or whatever, then just by all means give me a call or send me an email. So I want to thank again Ross and Sean over from Nintex, and for Brett and myself here at Orangutech. Again, thanks very much for coming. Have a great day.